through gathering information. And I think that's the risk of giving the government that power.
I think when you compare the private and the public sector, I mean, the private sector has a lot of incentive to gather the data in order to tailor advertisements to you, but the public sector, they have the terrorism and they have the IRS collection data, but once you have that established, then there's other incentives that come into play, like the politics that we saw with Catherine Albright and her small company, that can further influence that. Whereas in the private sector, there really isn't much you can do in order to influence different things compared to the public.
And there aren't many harms that result from the private sector's surveillance of their customers because it's only for purposes of business most of the time.
I mean, you could argue that they're trying to manipulate people to buy your product. So there's that, or you could, people going after competitors, attacking their competitor and so forth. But the thing is, huge, powerful Google and Microsoft, what can they do to you? If you don't like Microsoft, buy a Macintosh and don't use the Mac stuff. So the corporations have huge power in some sense, but they can't force you to do stuff. When the federal government passes a new federal electronic surveillance law, that applies to everybody. So that's, to me, that's what makes the power element here. So companies can be big in terms of influence, but they don't have, unlike the view that Hollywood has, they don't have the power to force people to do stuff. At least that's my take on matters.
I mean, if a scandal ever came out where Google used their surveillance for some nefarious reason, I mean, there'd be a huge outlaw and people would stop using Google. But the government comes out, they've been using it for political purposes, and there's really nothing you can do in order to punish them in a marketplace.
I mean, that would be the argument I'd say. Now, you could argue that this, now the other thing is too, if Google has the information, that means the government can get it. So the federal government actually forced Yahoo, they put their stuff into Yahoo to monitor every Yahoo email. And they told the heads of Yahoo that if they revealed that information, they'd be sent to jail. So they monitor it, they used a warrant, or I don't know if they actually used a warrant or a threat, I don't remember the story, but they basically got access to the Yahoo servers, and then the president of Yahoo wasn't allowed to talk. It was only when the Snowden information came out that she could comment on it, when Snowden revealed it, yeah.
I read about that. The FBI sent out a national security letter.
Okay.
It basically said if you could send a national security letter, it's the FBI, basically it's the FBI right to seize records, and then you can't, and you can challenge it in court, but the whole thing has to be kept secret. Like if you were to send a national security letter, like if you're an individual to send a national security letter, you can talk to your lawyer about it.
Yeah.
But you can't talk to anybody else. It needs to be kept secret.
Because they're, yeah, they don't want to, they think somebody's trouble. They don't want the guy's cover to be blown. They want to gather information. If you don't do it voluntarily, they want to force you. So Isaiah may get a national security letter saying that they need to search the Ethos debate because they find troubling issues about former debaters that are saying negative things about the NSA or whatever. So yeah, so they could send that letter and then try and gather more information. And then they might, and again, they might say, we look at it, say, oh, we were worried about nothing, it's no big deal. But without access to the information, they're either concerned that it'd be a real danger. Yeah. Okay, so transparent society. So just a couple slides here. This is from a separate debate topic on criminal justice, but I think it's relevant for this. Oh, darn it. Well, this is okay. I haven't found this is what I want to have on my computer screen, and what's on my computer screen I want to have here, but I haven't figured out how to switch them. But this works okay. We had a debate topic on the criminal justice topic. A number of the books we had, One Nation Under Arrest in particular, this is 3 felonies a day. This is about the subject of the criminalization of society. You, as homeschoolers, you may have been told by your parents that if a policeman comes to your door or any government official, don't let them in the house. Does that ring a bell? Unless they have a warrant, then you have to let them in. But why would you not? I mean, policeman is usually a straight up guy, a guy in the community. Why would you not let a policeman in the house? I've read a number of these homeschool pages where they advise that. Well, the reason is there's so many things that are illegal that we don't know about because the law is so incredibly complex.
Yeah, actually, I once read a quote from a former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and Attorney General who said that in his mind, a federal prosecutor could take anybody in America and have them prosecuted for a crime because of how expansive, complex federal law is. He was warning against attorneys picking the person and finding a crime instead of prosecuting the crime.
Yeah, there's a great video on this, by the way, from Regents University. The title of it is Never Ever Talk to a Policeman. And this is a lecture to the Christian law students at Regents by this hilarious law professor who, I mean, it's an engaging debate. The policeman's on the other side. But the argument is there's so many things that are illegal, you can get in trouble for things you don't know about. So you need to be really careful. And I mention this because the electronic surveillance, so this book, Silvergate, he says on average, Americans commit 3 felonies every day, on average. And that's not because we're really bad people. It's just because there are so many things that the government has criminalized a lot of things. So anything they're against, they criminalize it. So people get arrested for, for example, it's illegal in California to put a umbrella, for shade in the sand. That's a violation of state law on protecting the sand. Now, nobody gets arrested on that, but the law is like overbroad. On the highway, whatever the speed limit is, most cars are going 5 miles over. Why is that? To control, the speed limit's there, but basically that means the government can pull over anybody because they're all speeding. So they pull over attractive women and people in red cars. Yeah.
Okay, so this is mostly based on law and order episodes, not any actual facts. But I hear a lot, like prosecutors, when they arrest someone for like a stupid obscure law, they don't actually intend on prosecuting them for that law. They think they committed murder, but they don't have the evidence necessary to build their murder case, so they're going to arrest them for that obscure crime, and then when they take them to the court, gather evidence. By that time, they would have gathered enough evidence for whatever case you're trying to make, like murder.
Yeah, like Al Capone. Al Capone, the mobster, they arrested him for income tax evasion, right? Because they couldn't find evidence on the other. So in Law and Order, it's always a bad guy they're going after, or usually it's a bad guy, and they use this as a way to bring him to justice. But the point is that allows for expanded stuff. And electronic surveillance, I would argue, is a way for government to gather more information on all the things that people do that are illegal. Yeah.
What about obscure laws? California is legal to carry an uncaged bear across the highway.
Strange. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff like that. So One Nation Under Arrest is a Heritage Foundation book. There's a great John Stossel episode, One Nation Arrest, with the author. And this is showing people getting arrested for all sorts of crazy stuff. One guy in Houston, north of Houston, gets arrested for importing some sort of a flower from Peru. And he's not only arrested, but the SWAT team shows up, breaks into his house, ties him up, ransacks the house. He eventually gets sent to jail, to solitary confinement for this. So these bizarre things, and these are sort of, so you've got a combination of the conservatives that want to get tough on drugs and the liberals that want to get tough on environmental crime and corporate crime and all that stuff. And it leads to a tremendous amount of, one girl drove to school and she had a butcher knife in her car for some project she was working on. She parked in the parking lot. She goes to jail because she's bringing a weapon onto school premises. So there's a range of things like this that are problems. So what if, on the electronic surveillance side, government is able to gather more information and all these things are still illegal? So the push by, and these are both conservatives and liberals. So this is the ACLU plus the Heritage Foundation saying we've got to dramatically reduce the number of crimes, the criminal justice system. We've over-criminalized society in an effort to, do this and that. Yeah.
The new documentary America is all about this.
Okay.
And it's by the guy who told me that was very first.
Dinesh D'Souza, yeah. Yeah.
I can't pronounce his name very well.
Yeah, he was from India. Yeah, so I encourage you to consider that, and I don't know quite how this fits in with the topic, but the law professor who writes on this, that video, it's called Never Ever Talk to a Policeman. I guarantee you'll find it entertaining. And he does it from a very friendly way, but he just says that it's easy to get entrapped into things in one way or the other. And one of the challenges is if the government decides to come after you or your family or your group, these sort of complex laws give them more latitude than we would like them to have.